Alright, hello chat. Last up for the powers segment, we are going to talk about legendary powers. Now, legendary powers are extremely rare. Even if you are max legend level, even if you have the max level for your character, it's not that common for you to see a legendary power at all in the entire run. The most frequent way that people will interact with legend powers is the legendary climb, which is the Aurelian Soul Adventure, which takes place in Targon. It's a 4.5 star area, and in that area, instead of followers, every combat node includes a champion, and that champion will get a random legendary power in addition to their own epic or rare power. So, some of these are really good, some of them are not, and I'm going to basically not only cover for this one which champions they would be good on, what uses they can have for you, but I will also talk about which ones you should avoid when you are in the Aurelian Soul area, as that's probably going to be the biggest benefit for this video. First up, we have Duplicate. Copy the first card you play each turn. This is the best legendary power by far, and it's not close. And that is probably the most controversial thing I will ever say on this channel, but it's okay because none of my followers watch me for Legends of Runeterra anyway, so I can say something like that and my combat section will be as empty as always. Copy the first card you play each turn. So like if you play like Annie, right? Normally you can't have two champions out at the same time, because if you summon a champion and you have another copy of the champion in the hand, it turns into a copy of that champion's spell to prevent you from summoning multiple copies of the champion. Well, this will allow you to summon multiple copies of a champion, which can be very, very powerful. So Annie, Samira, other characters that get like benefits when they strike, benefits when they attack, that like lead to them leveling up, is going to really, really push them. I mean, this is just really, really good. You should take this on every character because it essentially doubles your actions. And one of the reasons that mana exists in a card game is to prevent you from playing too many cards too quickly. This lets you break that rule. It is really, really good. I mean, all my followers like Yu-Gi-Oh! The reason why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so fast-paced is because you can play a lot of cards on the first turn. So being able to like play 2 cards on turn 1, and then 3 cards on turn 2, and then 4 cards on turn 3, as opposed to 1, 2, and 3, that makes your deck a lot faster. Never go against someone with Duplicate in Aurelian Soul's run. If Aurelian Soul has Duplicate, I'm sorry, you have lost. Almost always. I mean, it's not impossible, of course. Like, if you're a really good player, if you're experienced, if you know what you're doing, then any Aurelian Soul run is going to end in your victory. But if you're brand new, if you're starting out, and you see Duplicate on Aurelian Soul, I'm sorry, you've lost. It's hard. Just avoid any nodes that have this. Endless Wealth. Get 2 additional gold after each combat encounter. This one is weird. I don't think that anyone would ever take this because it's an investment power. Yes, you can get extra powers, by having more gold, but you're giving up a power to get this. And you can get more cards, certainly, but by the time that you are high enough level that you would want to actually get more cards or more things from the shop, you also get more gold, because your starting gold and the amount of gold that you earn from each fight goes up as you level up. So this is not something that you would want. And by the time you get legendary powers at all, you're already a solid level for getting extra gold. So I don't think this is something that you would ever. I've taken this a couple times just to see how good it is, and I have not been impressed. I would rather have had the extra power from taking whatever rare epic power was also being offered to me, as opposed to buying this. The only time that I would ever, and if I see this in a shop, if I see that this is being offered as the only power in the shop, and it's a legendary power slot, and it's giving me this where I have to pay 500 just to get in 3 fights, I will get 100 gold. That's just so annoying. So yeah, this one doesn't show up at all in the Aurelian Soul Adventure. I would probably never take this. Level up. At the start of the game, shuffle 10 level 2 champions into your deck. They cost 1 less. So this is really good for Nyla, of course, because she draws a lot of cards. This is really good for Thresh. One of the biggest problems that Thresh has is that his main deck does not have any champions that are not Thresh. And you are entirely dependent on whether you get a good support champion for Thresh, because Thresh's only ability when he levels up is that the first time you attack, you summon a random champion from your deck attacking that is not Thresh. So this will make sure that the champion that you summon is level 2, which is really, really solid. It doesn't matter what champion it is. If they're level 2, they are going to have some sort of beneficial keyword, beneficial stats, beneficial attack. It's just good. And then, of course, this is also really good for Aurelion Sol, because Aurelion Sol reduces the cost of all champions by 2 every time that you play a created card, so just, like, insane. As far as the Legendary Climb, it's like a lot of RNG. There are a lot of champions that are ridiculously powerful at super low cost, and then, of course, the Legendary Climb also doubles the stats of any champion that's played. In particular, Kayn is really annoying with this, because Kayn is 0 mana when he levels up, for some reason. Like, he's normally a 5 mana card, but when he levels up specifically, he returns to your hand, so that you can choose whether you're playing Rost or Shadow Kayn, and because it bounces back to your hand and they don't want you to have to replay the cost, they made the cost of the level 2 0. So that's actually really bad for this specific interaction. Your opponent playing a 0 mana, what is he? He's like a 3/6 normally, so he's gonna be a 6/12, a 3 mana, like a 0 mana 6/12 on turn 1. In addition to, like, maybe they summon like a 1 or 2 mana champion that also gets doubled stats. It's just gross. So yeah, this is still probably like one of the weaker powers. I would definitely go for this if like my other option was Perfected Mana Flow or Duplicate, but it's okay. Perfected Mana Flow, at the start of the round, get a Mana Gem. So this is very similar to the Mana Gem, the Mana Flow that we saw from Epic. The difference is that it's every turn. So essentially you get 2 mana a round. You will hit the 10 mana cap at turn 5 instead of turn 10. Obviously that's insane. A lot of people would say that this is probably the best power in the game. Again, I think Duplicate is better just because Duplicate will give you more actions. Even with Perfected Mana Flow, you can run out of cards. So even though you can play more cards with Perfected Mana Flow in theory, you will always get more cards with Duplicate no matter what your hand is. And, yes, playing more powerful cards early can be beneficial, but it's not necessarily going to be as beneficial as playing a weaker card twice, in my opinion. Perfected Mana Flow is still a very powerful and very dangerous ability for the Aurelion Sol Climb. As far as champions, like, you would take this on everybody. Like, this is just a very, very powerful effect. In particular, it's really good for high-cost champion decks like Darius, Volibear, and Viego. But, I mean, anyone can benefit from having 2 mana, like 3 mana on turn 1. So, or 4 mana if you have the 5-star. This is like an area that I would avoid. So if you're up against, like, if you have like the option to choose between like Perfected Mana Flow Caitlyn and like, power overwhelming Sejuani, you're gonna go for the Sejuani. Speaking of power overwhelming, at the end of the round, give your allies +1/+1 permanently. This is terrible. This is not worth a legendary slot at all. This is arguably worse than Run Them Down because it triggers at the end of the round. And Run Them Down is a common power. So the fact is that like a lot of your units will die the turn that you play them. It's just how it is. Like sometimes your opponent will remove them, sometimes you'll attack with them, and then they'll be traded into. Sometimes you just win the game. Sometimes you just summon a bunch of units because you're trying to kill someone. And then when that happens, you got no benefit from Power Overwhelming because it didn't work, because you already ended the game. So Power Overwhelming is probably like the worst one, and I would say that like if you are looking for an easy victory in the Aurelion Sol area, you would always target the Power Overwhelming unit over every other part. Undying Legion. The first time an ally dies each round, revive it. This is insane. This is so good. Oh my god, I love this one so much. Again, this is another instance where you can get extra champions, because if you kill a champion, let's say that like your champion has Deathless, right? Like it has the ability to like revive itself on death. Like if you're playing Mordekaiser, for example, then you play this and then you kill your Mordekaiser. Your Mordekaiser will come back, but then it will also come back from the Undying Legion. Now you have 2 Mordekaisers. Like Kindred. Kindred plays the Guardian Angel power so that she can do this. But if you have Kindred, you use the Spirit Journey to kill Kindred and immediately revive it. Now you have 2 Kindreds. So, like, there are decks that have synergy with this, but it's just good for everybody. like even if you don't have any synergy with reviving units or with bringing units back, like you have a 2/1, you trade into your opponent's 2/2, and then you have Undying Legion. Now your 2/1 comes back, so it's like you had Quick Attack. Like, that's good enough. That's still worth a power slot. Absolutely. Thankfully, this is not a power that any unit will get in the Aurelian Soul Adventure. If this would be terrifying. You would never win, but this is just a really good, really solid ability. Unlimited Power, Legendary. Your first spell each round costs 10 less. This is arguably worse than Spellslinger, actually, because a lot of decks really want to play like multiple cards in a round. Yes, it is good to, like, if you have Arcane Comment, then it is really good to have a 0 mana Obliterate every single turn. That's really niche. And you're not necessarily, like, you can't plan around having legendary powers. They're just not frequent enough. So, I mean, if you happen to be playing a character that has the Arcane Comment, like Jace or Morgana, but you wouldn't even take it on Jace because you don't want your spells to cost 0. Oh my god. I mean, I would probably still take this on, like, because I mean, why not, right? Like, it's just free mana, but it's not. It's hard to know who would actually, because you don't want to use this on Lux because you want to spend mana on Lux. You don't want to use this on Jace because you want to spend mana on Jace. Echo would love this, of course. Echo would love this. Jinx would love this, but they're not getting that much value out of it. You're only saving like 2 mana as opposed to 6 or 7. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it sounds really impressive, but it's not all that impressive. Viego, if you don't have Viego leveled enough, then his possession spell costs 5, and it's the worst card in the entire game. So yes, Viego in particular really benefits from unlimited power because you would actually play possession if it was 0 mana. This does not appear in the Aurelian Soul Adventure, by the way. Alright, Unstable Inventory. Start the game, add a random item to each card in your deck for the game. That changes every single game. That's really fun. I love this power. It's a lot of fun to just get random item cards on all your cards. Obviously, it's completely random, so you can't say that, like, it's good for any particular deck, but it's really funny, and I would always take it. You should always take this one, just because it will make your game wild. The only problem is, every time that I do this, I swear, every time that I take Unstable Inventory, I will lose a game, at least one game, because my champion gets the, what is it called? Like the Iron Vest. There's one bad item card that you can get, and it's raise the unit's cost by 1, but give it +3/+3, and that will ruin your curve if it's on your champion. Oh my god, it's so annoying. I have lost games because, like, I couldn't play Jinx on turn 4, and I had to play her on turn 5 instead with Unstable Inventory. This is in the Aurelian Soul Adventure. It's not that big of a deal. Like, they will occasionally get, like, Phage and have 2/2 extra stats, which can be annoying, but, like, the item cards are not that powerful. They're really, really cool, and they're a lot of fun, but, like, the AI does not know how to use them properly, so you would always target someone who has Unstable Inventory unless they have Power Overwhelming. But this is a really good weak one. And then lastly, Unyielding Determination. The first time your Nexus would run out of health each game, heal at 30 and grant your allies everywhere +1/+1. I've taken this every single time that I've gotten it, and I don't think I've ever triggered it. It's because you just don't lose. It's literally, like, it sounds really good. It sounds really good to, like, be able to have 60 health. The problem is, if you don't die, then you had no power at all. And that's, it's like insurance, right? Like yes, if you get hit by a car, insurance is amazing, but every month that you don't get hit by a car, you're paying money for nothing. So now I'm not saying insurance is not worth it. Insurance is absolutely worth it, because that's because insurance is your entire life. A run is only like 5 fights. So are you really gonna die in 5 fights? If you are, okay, maybe you take this, like, after a big fight, and you're like, okay, wow, that, I'm only at 3 health. It'd be really cool if, like, Unyielding Determination, like if you got beaten down by the Poro, like, legendary, like the Poro legendary minion in Nautilus's adventure, and, like, you're only at, like, 4 health, and you're not too, you still have to go a little bit of a ways before you get to the healing, and you can potentially pick up the Unyielding Determination to make sure that if you die, you heal to full. That could be kind of funny, but no, it's funny, but it's just, like, not actually gonna help you all that much. This is in the Aurelian Soul Adventure. It's not that hard to beat a unit that an enemy that has doubled health. You just kill them again. So, yeah, I would go for this usually. This is way better than dealing with Perfected Mana Flow or Duplicate. So target that pretty heavily. All right, that's all the powers. I hope that you guys enjoyed this series. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.